First question I will answer is question 1, which is to discuss the key components of the propositions regarding employee abuse organizations. What are they? Why are they important? And how do you help us understand abusive issues in organizations? There are 7 propositions of the employee abuse organization. These employees link the relationship between how communication functions within an organization and the likelihood that the organization affirms and reinforces structures that create employee abusive organizations. Table 13.3 shows that 7 propositions and their implications. One of the key components is abusive discourage. Both the first and the second propositions mention that this either between 2 or more messages flow or when a leadership condemns the abusive discourse. Abuse is also in the fifth one, which states that EAOs will worsen when abuse permits over time. Hostility is also a key component. Both of these components show that negatively and hostility can cause issues within an organization. Another key component is management or leadership. The seventh says that EAOs can be altered, but only with effort and commitment from the management. And the second mentions when leadership condones or enacts with the abuse, it leads to more abuse. Management needs to communicate what behavior is appropriate. Another component is the employees. If there is abuse through the third message flow, other people are witnessing the abuse and not doing anything about it. In the third proposition, there is a problem when organizational members breach the norm of civil discourse. Also, 4 talks about employees being pitted against each other to compete. These propositions show that management is a big part of abuse in the workplace because if they do not stop it, it will persist. They have the ability to alter it. You can apply this to your current job by just talking about anything weird you may see, even if you are wrong. It's better to say something and be wrong than to not say anything and abuse to be happening. The next question I will answer is number 3, which says, according to the text, what is the relationship between organizational justice and retaliation behavior? The text says that retaliatory behavior comes when people have an adverse reaction to perceived unfairness by disgruntled employees toward their employers. The text talks about 3 types of organizational justice. There is disruptive justice, when an employee wonders if they're getting the same type of reward as their coworkers. There is procedural justice, where employers make sure that the rules and procedures are fair throughout the organization and they are consistent, unbiased, and ethical. And finally, employees view organizational justice through interactional justice. Employees want to make sure that management is truthful and respectful among other things. When employees feel like there's injustice, they may retaliate by purposely damaging equipment. They may talk back to their boss or ignore instructions or speak poorly about the company. Another retaliatory behavior can affect other employees. They may give them the silent treatment, withhold information, or even spread rumors about them. People may also waste time at work, take longer lunches, or work slower to retaliate against injustice. People may think that retaliating against the organization may balance the scales. In my experience, people complain about the other person making more even when they don't know how much the other person is making. It might take their anger out on the other person even when they shouldn't be. For question 4, I will identify the most important topic in 13 not already addressed in one of the above questions. One of the important things from chapter 13 that wasn't in the other questions was aggression in the workplace. The book talks about 3 areas of aggression: physical, verbal aggression, which is when a person reacts in a physical way or verbally by yelling or gossiping. There's active passive aggression, where a person can act aggressively or indirectly by withholding information from another person. Finally, there is direct, indirect aggression. Direct is when the aggressor harms someone, themselves, or indirectly fits into these 3 areas. indirectly by selecting something that is related to the target. The table in 13.2 shows there are different things that fit into these areas. For instance, the aggressive employee defaces property. They are physically aggressive because they are destroying something. They are actively doing it, and they are causing harm to the object that affects the target. Another example would be not returning phone calls. This is passive aggressive because it is an indirect way of being aggressive, and the employee is committing this aggressive behavior themselves. There are many ways that employee can show aggression in the workplace. It goes beyond yelling and pushing. It can be a passive situation that delays action on an important issue. This can also be done behind someone's back, but can affect the way another person works. In my experience, there hasn't been any physical aggression, but there has been instances of people yelling at one another over something that they disagree with and interrupting the whole workplace.